This is the country where we want to live and, make this country a place where a general citizen can live their dignified life. So for us, the incidents were not very happy kind of movements. A lot of disaster happened, and for us, this can be an opportunity to bring lot more reforms.
This is Atlas Network with Michael Carnuccio. Welcome to Atlas Network with Michael Carnuccio, where we spotlight the people powering the worldwide freedom movement. I'm your host, Michael Carnuccio, and today we're turning our attention to Nepal, a country in the midst of political volatility, popular protest, and quietly one of the most promising reform stories in Asia. Joining us is Deependra Chamlagain, a policy reformer and leader at Samriddhi Foundation, a longtime Atlas Network partner. His team just won the 2025 Asia Liberty Award for a bold campaign that helped secure amendments to 11 key economic laws and a historic win for business freedom in Nepal. At a time when governments are collapsing and people are demanding change, what does liberty look like on the streets of Kathmandu? What does this reform moment mean for the next generation? And what role did the Atlas Network and its global network play in helping that happen? Well, stick around because this episode is about finding the opportunity for liberty in moments of crisis. And with that, we're excited to be joined today by Deependra. Thank you so much for being with us. How are you today, my friend?
I'm good, Michael. I'm very good.
So let's talk. Let's set the stage for our listeners. Let's talk about Nepal's political system. It's been rocked recently by protest. There's been a collapse of the government. So for those who may not have been following around or paying attention as much, can you set the stage for us and help us know what you're operating in?
We are based in capital city Kathmandu. We are a Samriddhi Foundation. It's a public policy think tank founded back in 2006 when we had a great political revolution at that time as well. So from then we have been working on the public policy reforms, basically how we can make a livable Nepal, so any Nepali can live a dignified life in this country. That means opening up business opportunities, opening up investment opportunities, and bringing reforms in terms of many public policies so that entrepreneur can open a business very easily and close their business if they want. So that's the basic area. We do research, education, and training programs in Nepal, and at times of crisis, we try to defend freedom and democracy. So that's the basic core area of some of the foundations. So last time, I'm like, in every if we look at the history of Nepal, in every 10 years, we are having big political changes. So last Gen Z protest was also a major revolution in terms of as you said, the government was collapsed at that time as well. On 8th September, a lot of young people, they came to the street, and government was unable to manage the protest, and there has been like several death of young people in front of Parliament building, which led the incident of 9th September, which was kind of disaster, and that happened. The government was collapsed, Supreme Court was burnt, and even the Parliament building was burned. So
Wow.
that's the basic scenario.
Okay, so Dipendra, help us understand. Some would look at this crisis and think about danger. They would back away. You seem to lean into the moment and find opportunity. Why is that?
Michael, I mean, for us who are deeper into the public policy reform in Nepal, in this country, have been working for uh, since 2006, we have been trying to bring lot of reforms. And every time, every year, as I said earlier, like every 10 years, we have been stopped by a lot of political changes, going through the monarchy, uh, coming back to a Maoist revolution, and a federal democratic country, and now this Gen Z protest. For us, this is the country where we want to live, and make this country a place where a general citizen can live their dignified life. So for us, like the incidents were not very happy kind of movements. A lot of disaster happened, and for us, this can be an opportunity to bring lot more reforms. The Nepali people, like, they want democracy in real terms, not just in paper. So we are hopeful that the current government, and the next government, because the election has been already called, and political parties are already registering themselves to participate in elections. So we are hopeful that new and old political parties will come up with a lot of reform agendas in their manifestos, and then that will be a kind of area we really want to work. And upcoming government will realize the previous mistakes, and bring lot more reform in terms of economic opportunities. So we are hopeful, and these will be an opportunity for us to be more serious, to be more focused on public policy issues that we have been working.
I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation that you lead Samriddhi Foundation and that you won the 2025 Atlas Asian Liberty Award. Let's talk a little bit about the foundation. What is it that you all do? How do you fit into Nepal's public policy landscape?
We'd like to thank Atlas Network for the award, and Samriddhi Foundation, founded back in 2006 after a big political reform. Uh, at that time, also we realized that it's time for the economic reform now, because we have been seeing a lot of political changes. So in terms of politics, we achieve a lot more, but in terms of economic, we haven't achieved any major significant reforms. We Nepal had a policy reform back in 1990s. Then country gone into the Maoist war, and then
Right.
life of general people been very very terrible in terms of living. The basic public service were not in there, and government was kind of government institutions were kind of defunct. So from then we have been working on the public policy. In 2011 we started looking into the Nepal's economic growth agenda, where we try to look into different growth sector, and dig deeper into what can be the reforms on those sectors. For example, in energy, in education, in infrastructure, what we can do, and what government can bring the reforms. So we try to chart out all the reforms agenda in every sector, and provide the recommendation to the government. So we were lucky enough at that time, because government formed the Nepal Investment Board, and they took all the five major sectors as a priority area. Uh, Also, they tried to include other three areas there, but it was all some of these agendas that government took on their part. And from then we have been working on the cross-cutting issues, basics, how government can create more competition in the market, and how we can bring more investment from outside, because we need a lot of investment from outside. And also, like, we need to work on the internal business environment as well. So from then we have been working on the economic policy issues. So, and also, like, as a part of our work, we try to work with all the political parties, bringing them in the table, and discussing, and helping them to chart out what can be the policy reforms, where whichever party they can they can take our agenda and bring the reforms. So that's where the major area that we have been working on the public policy side.
You mentioned this impact and reform and kind of opportunity. And as I discussed at the beginning of the conversation, 11 reforms to major economic laws in just a few months. I mean, that is significant
Mhm.
for any organization. Why were you able to have such success in such a short amount of time?
We don't say like it was very very happened in a very short term, but it was the result of the long term effort of Samriddhi Foundation and a lot more other policy champions. So we've been able to, as I said, we've been able to bring I mean, the government was not very open about the policy reforms. So at the same time, there are second generation political leaders and there are policy reformers where we who are part of our reform process as well. So we've been able to bring them in a one table and like discuss with them about for instance the investment environment in Nepal is very difficult. Bringing investment from outside, FDI. If we look at the South Asian scenario, Nepal is one of the country which received very less amount of investment from outside just because of our policy hurdles. So in nutshell, it's about creating common ground with the policymaker and political leaders that what is the aspiration of young people and or general citizen. We need to create lot more jobs. To create lot more jobs to create jobs, we need investment. For that we need to work on the investment environment. So it was a result of long term engagement that Samriddhi has been doing with policymakers, political leaders, and other fellow think tank members. That we are quite happy that we've been able to bring some of the um, I don't say it's a big kind of reform, but like in Argentina, but these were marginal reforms that we've been able to bring in Nepal. So at least, for example, at least a Nepali entrepreneur can invest outside now. They can open up their business. So there are a lot of IT companies which can go outside to see investment opportunities. But till before, it was very difficult to invest outside, or it was not possible to invest outside. Now at least some of the IT companies, they can go outside and look their business. That's a big open, that's a big win actually. And in terms of closing a business, opening was little easier, much more easier, but closing a business was hardly possible in Nepal. So with this ordinance, we've been able to simplify the process, and now at least entrepreneur who wants to take risks in the market can open a business, and if the business is fail, they can close down their company and do the due diligence very easily. Those were very marginal kind of reforms in our company act, in our foreign direct investment act. Yeah.
So I'm interested in something you mentioned just a second ago, where you said you were talking about the informal economy and that half of businesses did not have legal registration, and you're kind of describing now investment opportunities and why that matters. But from a broader perspective, help our audience understand why, if someone could have a business and they could create their good or service and sell it and they could operate, why does the legal formal designation and registration matter? Why does being in the informal economy have such an impact?
Our many of our acts in Nepal are very old, and it was those acts are uh, uh, surrounded with the license Ras kind of thing. Getting previously, before 1990s, it was hardly possible for an entrepreneur to open up a company here in Nepal. So in 1990s we had first generation reforms. Until then, we were very silent about the reform. The government was never looking into the policy reform. There are so many laws which are not harmonized. One law says you can open a business, you can operate like this, and there comes another law. So this country requires overhaul of economic policy, and this requires harmonization among a lot of laws. We are kind of Nepal is over regulated country. So that's why Samriddhi and our work is focused on how we can slash down a lot of unnecessary regulations, where even for a mom and pop stores there are 6 or 7 registrations are required, and those are time consuming in terms of process. There are so many processes that an entrepreneur need to go. That's why, because of lot of regulation and lot of process and also time, basically the cost of doing business is very high in Nepal. That's why an entrepreneur or any kind of person who wants to run their business, they want to be informal, and which is more dangerous for a country. Even government will lose a tax amount, and an entrepreneur can face a lot of legal hurdles in if they caught they are informal or illegal. So there we want to simplify opening a business, operating a business, and exit from a business very easier in Nepal, so that anyone can work on a very clear environment where there will be minimum process. That's the area that we are trying to touch upon. Yeah.
There's something also I think that's instructive here for the rest of your peers, as we mentioned throughout the Atlas Network and the worldwide freedom movement. So I want to turn our attention to this ability for you all to mobilize quickly, to build momentum, I should say, rapidly. Because let's be honest, political change takes time. Policy reforms typically take time and a process, but yet you were able to build momentum rapidly and have a quick impact on change. Why is that? What were you able to do? Because I think a lot of the peers in the worldwide freedom movement could learn from this.
First thing is focus, and always try to be focused on our certain areas, which are all economic agenda, because people are divided in terms of politics, but in terms of economy, everybody want come together. They can come together in a table and discuss about what are the possibilities in this country. One is focus, and bringing every sector in one table, creating common ground is more important. Of course, we don't have libertarian party in Nepal, but there are lot of the there are many leaders who are open about our ideas, because also because of previous policies and everything, left oriented policy, very hardcore socialist policy. People are already tired about uh, seeing those policy and the result of the policy. A lot of promises from the government, but never come in terms of results. So we at Samriddhi, we try to work on the area and bring the facts and figures that people can see. Those are not our data; those are government agencies' data, and we try to compare with reality, how India is working there, how other countries are working and benefiting on by some of the reforms. So we try to set the example. We try to bring outside knowledge to this country, and uh, try to try to help them to understand what is happening outside. That's another thing. And the last thing that we have been doing since 2012, I think. Yeah. We've been to Nepal become a federal republic now, so there are 7 different provinces. So for us at Samriddhi, this is a mission. We are in a mission to promote the freedom and liberty in this country. So in this mission, we need more friends, allies. So we are trying to uh, we are working with young peoples to create independent think tank who are working at the provincial level. So sometimes, the federal government is very busy, they don't want to listen, but the provincial government are very open, and and our fellow friends from the other think tanks are very very efficient in terms of bringing provincial leaders at one table, and like somebody at the federal level, they are working at the province level. So we are trying to create competition among different provinces, like, look, this province is doing those reforms, and the results are very good, and our other province leader are also, like, listening. Oh, what's going on there? So it's taking it as a mission, not as a activity or one time activity, or like like a single project.
And folks, I just want to say, if you're hearing this story of Deependra and Samriddhi Foundation working with their peers throughout the worldwide freedom movement in Asia, but also within Nepal, and how they've been able to work together to affect change, well, there's an opportunity for you to work together with Deependra and all of those that are fighting to advance liberty throughout the worldwide freedom movement. And that's by going to atlasnetwork.org today. There, you can join my wife and I in being part of the Atlas Club, or you can make a $25 contribution and receive Freedom's Champion magazine. But however you engage through atlasnetwork.org, you'll be helping Deependra and all of his colleagues throughout Asia impact reform and make a difference. And Deependra, there, I want to kind of shift the conversation back to this idea that I think a lot of people hear when they think about reforms and economic laws, and they say, that's just paper. That's really not impacting real lives. But you're talking about immediate impact that is helping entrepreneurs. What does that look like in Nepal, and where do you think this helps Nepal go over the next 3 to 5 years?
We also receive those kind of comments in Nepal, and like, we are very general or natural kind of comments, that people believe on instant result, like, if we are working in a village, and if we are working with the village people in terms of, like, um, for example, the irrigation project. So people will be very happy, they see the canals and going, water going around in their field. That's a, you can see that. But in policy making, it's very hard to see the result. And as you said earlier, like, policy making for us, like, Matt Warner once told me, like, it's not the Formula One car. It's a big ship, and we need to, like, be constant and looking forward, and, like, setting the, on a right track. That's required in a policy making.
That's
So
good. Yeah.
sometimes it gets very frustrating that you go two step forward and one step backward. But for us, as a think tank, like, policy making is which that gives a long term kind of results. It's very hard, but that brings a larger changes in terms of daily life of people. For example, when we were writing a constitutions in 2006, people were in confusion, like, what are the agenda that we should put in constitutions. So in at that time, we were also running a campaign. Tom Palmer knows it. It's a Gari Khana Deu campaign. It's that's in English. It's a Let Me On My Life. So it's a livable Nepal campaign. So at that time, our life and property were threatened by a lot of political actors who are now, they are in regular politics. When private property and private public, public and private properties were not secure. At that time, we've been able to launch the campaign, and then as a result of the campaign, in our constitutions, there is a clear provision that there is a strict protection of private property right, and now nobody can vandalize that. that happened last time, but at least that goes into legal process, which is a larger reform. So in terms of bringing change, I believe on long term kind of changes. So uh, the work of think tank is to seal the deal for a longer term, which can bring positive changes in general life, general people's life. So, for instance, there were thousands of companies which were not closed for a long time because of our legal provisions was not allowing them. Now, the closure started, which was happened because of the reform that we and other friends were working regularly. If we look at the uh, last year's data, I mean, the foreign investment commitment it just doubled in this quarter. I was going through the data yesterday, and
Wow.
this happened last year that was half, and now it's 36 million, which is still a small amount. Last year it was 19 million commitment in this quarter, and this year 36 million, which is the reforms are showing the results. So that will help to create a lot of opportunities in Nepal. So I believe in policy reforms for a longer term. Yeah.
So we're hearing that you were able to have reforms; they're having immediate impact, but also that this has come out of political unrest and kind of the fall of government and whatnot. So, were there power centers or were there groups of opposition that you ran into, or was this just an open opportunity and a window where there was no opposition, so you could move through pretty fast?
There are oppositions. I mean, most of our all of there is a new party now registered as a which is called Nepal Liberal Party. So till then, there were not even a single political party who were open to the ideas, and our country was run by the same leaders for a long time. Of course there are leaders who listens to us, who believes on ideas, but they are the major power, bigger powers are very powerful. The idea sometimes, the left oriented or socialist policy, they've been able to blame all the wrong things to the people who believe on free market ideas. And generally the capitalism is very bad in Nepal. And earning, making profit, generally seen as a wrong thing. So that's a basic kind of education system that we've been grown up, and that's not helping. So one of the major thing that we were doing from 2006 to 2015, one of part of our major work was to educate general people, young people, in terms of why entrepreneurial entrepreneurship is good, and why earning profit is good. So it's
Sure.
education program. We were heavily engaged on education program. Then later on we started jumping into the engaging with policymakers and political leaders, so that they can see there are good results in free market ideas. So you talk practical things, not unheard kind of dream you can sell in this country, and make people full for your voting. So we have been trying to work with them. And of course there is opposition, but at the same time there are good leaders in every political parties. And as said earlier, people been frustrated about the old kind of policies, very old kind of Russian model that is running in this country. So I mean, it's quite interesting. It's riding on a roller coaster, and you see all kind of debates. Now any kind of debates happen in the market about the free market or capitalism, they try to tag me and Deependra, what's your views on this? And it's going on. It's a fun. I mean, we're enjoying it. Yeah.
Well, okay, so I'm interested in this point that you make about some of the backlash or some of the opposition. So, what is the political outlook for Nepal? Where are we going? Is there a new dawn, or are there bad actors that are starting to fill the void and stack up against you and Samriddhi's initiatives?
There are both sides. I mean, like, in politics, like, Nepal, like, Nepal was ruled by a single family for a long time, 230 years, I think. Yeah. And then, we've been able to, political party been able to make Nepal a republic country, and open opportunity for a general Nepali citizen to be a president, or prime minister of this country. So, basically, like, uh, we recently had an fruits of democracy. People thought, like, Nepal will be run by a family for a long time, but it was political process, and, like, the political party been united, and then they changed. They've been able to bring this change. Now, I mean, like, this is a new beginning again. So people will now, there will be both forces. I mean, there are old forces, there are, like, people who still believe Nepal should go in one religion, which is Hindu religion. That's also there. So we just think tank, we try to bring everyone together, like, why you are talking about this, what is logic behind it, and see the results, compare with, good and bad aspects. So it's a tug of war. I mean, I'm hopeful that, the people who believe in freedom and democracy, and, opening up the market, they will be able to, protect. They will be there to protect their rights, and, like, Nepal will be more open in coming days. That's my belief. But at the same time, the frustration, like, sometime, like, when democracy doesn't deliver in terms of, in terms
Sure.
of economic, and then people will get frustrated, and they will vote for another kind of populist leader, which is there. The challenges is how we can overcome the storm of populism in this region is one of the big challenges. So let's see. I'm hopeful, like, political party will understand the previous mistake, and even the general people will understand the previous mistakes, and they will choose the right leader who can protect their life, property, and, freedom. So I'm hopeful there.
So we're coming to the end of the year and the season. We're looking at a new outlook for the future of Nepal. But I wonder, there must be a threat to liberty that you're still focused on, and you mentioned focus earlier, that you see as the next hill that you and Samriddhi are trying to climb. What is that? What is the biggest threat to liberty now in Nepal?
It's a populism, the growing populism in this country, and a lot more, like, sometime, if we lose the focus, if we drift from our ideas, or, focus area, sometimes there are a lot more, old laws and acts, which are not which are not actually enabling, people's lives. So, we as a Samriddhi, like, we are still struggling with, like, how we can bring larger changes, how we can bring policymakers together to understand this, because we are running out of time. I mean, like, if we look at our southern, neighbor, India is progressing so quick in terms of economy. They've been able to bring a lot of investment from outside. But in Nepal, like, having lot of natural resources, having, big, youth bulls in this country, there are a lot more opportunity to invest, to open the market and invest in this country, in terms of, in area like infrastructure, energy sector, agriculture, and those kind of, and those lot more, those areas are protected, still license, you require several license to operate in this country. So, I mean, uh, the major challenge is how we can be in very focused in policy making, and how we can bring everyone, larger stakeholders together, so that they can understand the urgency in this country. Because, in next 10, 10, 15 years, we'll lose most of the young peoples. The population will go into the aging. So, That's the area how we can open this country so that young people will stay in this country and do not require to go to Middle East or Malaysia or any other country for their life, to secure basic, basic need of their life, need of their, family and their people. Yeah.
Let's talk about your partnership and involvement with Atlas Network. We discussed it briefly before, but talk to me about you in specific as a leader. What has Atlas Network meant for you, and what value has that partnership provided for Samriddhi Foundation?
For us, Atlas Network is a light. I mean, like, you be inspired with the Atlas Network. So back in 2008, our executive director was in US, and he been able to understand a lot more about Atlas Network. From then, we are in touch, and they are, for us, they are the champion in our work. And also, Atlas Network is a motivation for us. When we go down, we see the positiveness within the Atlas Network and the inspiring people. We try to be in touch with them. One of the things is there, and also, like, training our people. I'm an Atlas Network graduate of think tank MBA, and still a part of a wonderful cohort of CEO. So last time I was in New York attending CEO summit, and when a lot of things are happening in this country, in Nepal, and you get all motivation from the wonderful CEOs working in different countries, how they are facing challenges, how they are dealing with it. So for us, Atlas Network is a kind of university where you learn so many things, not only within the Atlas, but with the Atlas Network partner as well. Each of the partners of Atlas Network are wonderful resource for us. And then, there are a lot more opportunities that Atlas Network provided us without any condition. I mean, nowadays it's working in a very, very far and very difficult country. You can be questions with where the money is coming, where the resources are coming, and those kind of things are always comes to us as well. But with Atlas Network, there is a unconditional support from the Atlas Network, been always wonderful. So we are very thankful to Atlas Network and its board member and all the donors to Atlas Network. Yeah.
You mentioned the donors there, Deependra, and I want to ask you a follow-up question on that point, because Atlas Network does not receive any government funding, no public funding. It's all individuals, private foundations, and maybe their corporate gifts or some of their companies, but it's all individual philanthropists that support this work in the worldwide freedom movement and empower the Atlas Network to partner and help Samriddhi Foundation and others. And so, if you and I were not having this conversation in the studio together like this, but we happen to be in contact with one of those generous donors that supports Atlas Network and specifically supports the work that you do, what would you say to them? How would you tell them about the impact they're making?
Many thanks to them. I mean, like, it's wonderful. I mean, it's, as I said, bringing stories from outside. These are very helpful. Like, I go through the podcast and, like, listening to a friend working in Africa or working in Eastern Europe, very challenging condition, and, like, you get inspiration from them. And also, these are investment, not only the the one time kind of support. These are the seed of freedom, and which they've been able to inspire a lot of people around the world. So I'm always thankful to individual donor who are supportive to Atlas Network, who help us to learn from each other and protect the freedom in their respective country. That's one of the larger thing that we want to do. I mean, like, uh, you know uh, there are a lot more positive things. Like, if we've been able to open a market, the market will gives opportunity for many individuals. Entrepreneur can operate very easily. So there are a lot more good results that are impactful work they have been supporting. So I'm thankful to them. Yeah.
So let me ask you about the future and we're having this conversation that we started talking about political unrest, and you referenced even Parliament being burned. And I know as you and I were talking, and with some of our colleagues at Atlas Network throughout the last several weeks, there's been a lot of concern and it's sometimes danger. And yet, I hear in your voice enthusiasm. I hear a hope as you speak about Nepal and the future. What is it, Deependra, that gives you hope right now?
The aspiration of young people. I mean, most of the young people are now concerned about the freedom. If we look at the protest on 8th September, there, out of many reasons, one of the reason was then government was trying to ban social media, which is one of the major tool for uh, freedom of expression in Nepal. A lot more people are engaged in social media as well. So, now people are concerned nowadays about the corruption, the public finance, public spending, um, entrepreneurship. A lot more startups are coming up in market, and they are concerned about the business regulations and business environment in this country. In 2006, there were hardly any people who were talking about entrepreneurship. Now there is an entrepreneurship college here in Nepal. uh, at that time, like, very few people were concerned about the government is spending on public enterprises. Now we can debate publicly. Now people are talking about why government should run a cement factory or cigarette factory, or even airlines. So those are positive thing that I can see. People are concerned about the tax they are paying and the service they are getting from the government. So that's the positive thing. That's helping us to be motivated and to be more focused, and, like, come to office next morning with a lot of motivation. Yeah.
So, if you and I were having this conversation at your office, and we finished up and we said, "Hey, let's go have a traditional meal or something to eat, or maybe in particular your favorite food," and you're like, "Mike, you're in my
Mhm.
town now. You've got to eat this." What are we dining? What are we eating together?
We do have traditional Nepali food, and we do lunch at office. But I'll certainly take you to a very great momos puzzle is dumplings, kind of dumplings. Yeah, momos, which were, last couple of weeks back. Our new mayor in NYC was in one of the Nepali restaurant eating momos there. So in his plates there were momos. So momos are quite famous nowadays in Nepal and globally. So those are from Nepal. So maybe, like, next time you'll come to Nepal, and I'll take you to the great momo puzzle where we can test very delicious momos.
Well, I look forward to that. I'm excited about that. What else would we do if I visit Nepal in particular, maybe Kathmandu, or we're hanging around? Where's someplace I've got to go to experience the culture, to understand what life is like in Nepal?
Yeah, Kathmandu is, in general, Nepal is very diverse country. So you can see lot of diversity, and, like, cultural, heritage is there. So within Kathmandu, you can see lot of things. The culture, old Newar cultures to new traditions. There are temples. There are monasteries. Beautiful places in Nepal. Nepal is very famous for mountaineering as well. If we have time and, like, the courage to go over the mountain. I never been there, so and it's a great trekking areas. For a short hike, for one day to, like, there are long hikes till 21 days long. So it's a wonderful country.
Wow.
Very, very diverse country. People are very nice, always smiling. As we see on 9th September, all the disaster happened. private sector is still in confusion where they want to invest or not. But they are smiling. That you can see, their face is very bright, and they are like saying, let's work together, so together we can build, kind of thing. So people are very positive here.
So last question I have for you in this stretch, Deependra, but help us to understand a little bit about you as a leader in the worldwide freedom movement. When you are not putting all of your time and effort in with Samriddhi Foundation and your colleagues there, what do you do? What are your hobbies? What are your interests outside of the office, if you will?
Outside office, I drink a lot of tea with political and policy makers. So even like in my office, my friends say that what do you do, Dipendra? And I tell them like I go outside and drink tea, sometimes beer with the like-minded friends in the same area. That's one of the things that I do regularly. Also hiking, cycling is my latest hobby that I keep on doing that. So going around the mountains in a mountain bike, that's wonderful. Like if we go little bit outside of Kathmandu, you can see all the villages, and trailing on the mountain area is one of my big hobby. I have son, so he is 14 years old, and I try to be with him, go around. Driving is kind of risky, but it's a fun in Nepal. So I go for a long drive from here and there. So those are the some of the things that I try to keep me busy.
Well, you and I have sons that are around the same age. Mine are 13 and 15 years old. Yours is 14. So
Yeah.
we're in the same season of life, my
Mhm.
friend. So listen, I really thank you for the conversation today. I think we've learned a lot, been inspired once again by the work that you and your colleagues are doing, but also have more clarity on Nepal and what's happening, but also the opportunity for the future. And to that, I wish you and your colleagues the best of luck, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much. My regards to your son as well, and thank you very much for being with me. I mean, this is a great opportunity to share our vision, our work at Nepal, in Nepal. So to the our outside listeners who are there, and also we are always thankful to Atlas and Atlas Network partner there.
Well, folks, thank you so much as well for joining us today and listening to this conversation that I hope brings you some clarity and understanding about the opportunity in Nepal and the great work that Samriddhi Foundation is doing. If you would like to get involved and support Deependra and his colleagues, or you want to participate in the worldwide freedom movement and help so many of his peers and the impact that they're bringing to make the world a better place, I encourage you to go to atlasnetwork.org. There you can donate, you can find ways to be involved and to attend events that Atlas Network hosts around the globe, like the Asia Liberty Forum, where Deependra and his colleagues won the award this past year. And folks, you can also there through atlasnetwork.org find more episodes. Join in and participate in a future conversation on Atlas Network with Michael Carnuccio. Until then, stay free and help others. Goodbye.